I tend to be of the opinion that this is not necessarily a good idea, but all of my good ideas haven't exactly led to a 200 whitetail, so why not try something that maybe isn't as good? We have entered a bunch of competitions out here for Loggers Point today. I think 5 different species there are active competitions running. And actually we are in single player because 1 or 2 of them are single player only, but one thing that I found kind of intriguing is that there's a competition running for the lowest scoring whitetail buck shot with buckshot. So even if multiplayer has some impact on like larger scoring animals, maybe single player will give us a really small one and we can win a competition that way. So kinda hedging our bets in both directions, and we'll see what happens today. Now, of the competitions that we've entered today, the one that I'd like to place the most focus on is actually the mule deer comp, and I think it's called heavy hitter or something like that. Basically, it's your highest average of your 3 heaviest mule deer bucks. So that's one that I've done kind of well on in the past, and I think it's one that we have a decent chance of placing in. Just if we could get 1 or 2 heavy bucks, we can be well on our way. But that's kind of why I said this whole concept of entering a bunch of competitions can be a bad idea, because maybe every time, say, a bobcat calls, because we're in a bobcat comp, or a feral hog calls, we're in a comp for them as well, that can kind of lead us away from potential mule deer. And that's sort of where it gets difficult to be in a bunch of competitions. But I figured we're going to be on this map, we might as well have a chance at anything. And I wanted to also explain, as we're probably going to set up for a bobcat that's out here, I think I need to equip that. The reason that we are back in Classic again today, for those of you that are maybe wondering, is of course the news about Call of the Wild this coming week. I have a feeling that we're going to be in Call of the Wild a lot, and I wanted to kind of get another Classic video out there because I would kind of assume usually we do Classic around Thursday. This week it might be Call of the Wild again, so I wanted to kind of get back out here before we switch gears a little. I've done quite a lot of hunting at the Northern Tower on Loggers Point, and I can say pretty definitively, I've never had 3 bobcats come into a call before at the same time. And I would probably also say, in general, it's quite rare to have 3 bobcats coming in where none of them are all that high scoring. There is 1 male underneath us here, and the competition for them is for a muzzleloader shot, but there's not much point when it's such a small one. So I'm thinking, if we can drop him, I actually have no idea where that arrow would have hit, because it looks like it's, I mean, kind of down through the back. We must have been a little too high, because it actually is on his left side, kind of. So he'll run a little bit. I would certainly assume, well, he might have spooked 1 of our bobcats, but we've got 1 coming in still, so we can maybe get that one as well. The first one I saw was actually this one, way out there at like 200 meters. But then when the male was there, I figured we could call it in. In the end, bobcats don't run very far, and actually I don't know if they still do it, but they used to, when hit with an arrow, kind of flee to a certain point then just stand there. So what might be best would be to try to shoot this one, maybe before it gets to the tree. I guess not, since we need to equip another arrow, but then kind of just hang around, do some calling. There were other buck tracks in the area, but they were older and also lower weight. But just kind of maybe let the other bobcat expire. But in the meantime, this one is finally past the tree. Hopefully we can do a little better. Kept that a little lower, and that one dropped, so that would be just about right. But yeah, I'd say that's going to be the move. We'll sit here for 5 or 10 minutes, then go and do some recovering. Unfortunately, not a whole lot going on in those couple of minutes of calling. The same pheasants and feral hog that have been sounding off the entire time were continuing to do their thing, but we got our female bobcat here, and again, I'll mention it quickly and hopefully not throughout the entire video, because I kind of did that in a recent hunt, but every little harvest, even if we're going to track a poorly hit bobcat, slowly but surely kind of ticks up our counter of total harvest with the heavy recurve. I think we need something like 70 more, maybe not even, till we get to 1,000, so we're nearly done with that bow. I'm not going to say that the bobcat did exactly what I thought it was going to do, but as you can see by the map on the Hunter Mate, we're not, I don't know, 120 meters maybe from where we shot him. In fact, I don't know if we can maybe get a range. The tower's sort of behind the hill. If we scoot over to that point, yeah, 110 meters to here, and then the bobcat's another 10 or 15. So I'm not certain he just stood here and eventually expired, but I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. And actually, 2-minute wound time for a body hit, that's kind of surprising. A nice 94 GM to go along with the additional heavy recurve harvest, and we can finally be on our way here. We kind of had a similar thing in the video the other day with the red deer hunt, where actually I misread the description of the competition and thought it was for the highest scoring one. But it was a weight comp similar to what we're doing for the mule deer today, and it's just kind of an odd situation where naturally you're looking for, you know, the big antlers, the highest scoring ones, but quite often I've found with mule deer that it's kind of like the average 150, 160 scoring ones that are often in that 130 kg range, so we don't have to see the huge antlers, but unfortunately when they are kind of below average 120 scoring, we're never going to get that top weight range. But I mean, when a mule deer buck runs, we're not going to ignore it, so gotta take them out just in case. Remember back at the start of the hunt where I said that entering a bunch of competitions could be a bad idea? I think the current events that are happening in this hunt are a shining example of what can happen. I've been tracking a max weight estimate whitetail for more than 30 minutes, and the kicker is, this isn't it. This is a different buck that is grunted, and I wouldn't be too shocked if our buck is coming in. By the way, I don't like how quickly that guy caught on to us, but we dropped him. He is a decent buck, but there is still another one out there that we have yet to even lay eyes on. And to be fair, I guess it's not even so much the fact that we're in a competition, the reason that we're tracking this max weight whitetail. That one kind of goes back into the whole 200 grind, but had it been a different species that we were tracking for the competition, I guess that kind of ties in a little more to what I was specifically referencing at the beginning. But at least we got a decent buck out of this. It was a lung liver stomach shot there at 20 meters and a 144 score. I am certainly hoping, if and when we find this other buck, that we see a better score than that. But I don't even know where he is. We were about 20 minutes behind him when the other buck grunted, so I guess we'll kind of slowly move along and see. And just to bring it full circle, the real kind of downside to potentially following one particular animal for a long period of time when you could be focusing on a different species for a competition is kind of when it turns out like this. This is in fact our buck. The 85-100 track has changed to an 80-90 track since spotting him, and he's actually spooked right now, so we can't even call him in. I do want to try to take him down with the cap lock muzzleloader. I mean, 40 plus minutes into tracking this particular buck, I really don't want to just abandon him after all that, so I at least want to get a harvest out of him, and since we're at least going to struggle to call him into recurve range, I think that would be the next logical thing. But naturally, he'd walk below the hill and just troll us a little longer. Well, I guess we can get into recurve range, whether he has gone unspooked or decided to just walk this way for no reason. At least in the end, he's added to our total recurve harvest tally. And actually there was another buck that just walked down that hill about the same size, unfortunately. But yeah, what would have been approximately 45 minutes from the initial picking up the track to harvest for a 87.9 kg, 118 scoring whitetail. 85 to 100 kg, and he wasn't even 88. That is the risk that you take by entering a bunch of comps and having a bunch of goals and not just one specific one to focus on. Now it feels like we could have been hunting mule deer all that time and gotten a little further, but we'll probably try to bring that other buck in if he's still around, and then I definitely think we're going to fast travel. The silver lining, I guess, by the way, is the other buck that grunted as we were kind of tracking him, because otherwise we would have ended up with a 118, another random buck that's higher scoring. He's a minimum of 130, and then, yeah, I guess that would have been it without the 144, but ooh, that shot did not hit where I wanted. I wonder, can we get a quick follow-up with the muzzleloader to kind of help that? Might have hit him, I have no idea. I'm not sure why that ended up so low. It didn't seem like it should have been. By the way, random mule deer that I've evidently tracked earlier in this hunt was here as well. We'll check and see if that muzzleloader shot would have hit him, and also reload should we need it. Hopefully this isn't going to be an extended tracking period now. What an adventure picking up that track set us off on, we ended up with a body hit and no follow-up from the muzzleloader. 130.9 score, by the way. He was 130 to 155 or something. And he scores 130.9. It's like the weight on the first one all over again, but at least, well, it's about to say at least we could take off. There's a mule deer grunting. I've got his track. We know he's not that heavy. I don't know. I kind of was planning on fast traveling south, but I guess we ought to take a look and see what that is. Well, this has taken a turn. Despite the fact that only one buck has grunted on the way in, there are at least two, and I would certainly imagine more, coming into the call, unless it would be two individual mule deer that have nothing to do with each other and happen to be in what I would say is basically the exact same spot for them to arrive at the same time. But I don't really see another option here other than trying to drop one and get hidden, but I mean, yeah, that was kind of natural. Once the other buck had spotted us, they were in the same weight range. The bigger buck, the one that we didn't get, is kind of the size that I was talking about where I often see kind of like higher weight bucks in that score range. Unfortunately with that one, not the case. By the way, a really good size feral hog track. I swear we're never going to get to leave this spot. There is a feral hog competition running as well. And I guess if there's one advantage to potentially tracking this pig over the animals that we've tracked thus far, it's that it ran down into this area where we should be able to spot it fairly quickly. Now the thing is, we don't have a high-powered rifle, we have the cap-lock muzzleloader due to some of the other competitions. But if we can maybe somehow get eyes on that relatively quickly, I'd like to at least know what he is, if not take him out. Well, that's going to be our pig, and at 910 to 1010, I don't imagine it's really going to be anything special, but as has been the case throughout this entire hunt, a whitetail buck has just grunted right behind us, so I guess we'll shift gears and try to get that. Man, I think I see him already. He's not looking that special. I was going to say I would love a little bit of redemption after what's happened with the whitetail hunting thus far, but I think for once we are going to sort of set it in stone that we are heading elsewhere and go ahead and take that shot with the muzzleloader. Amazingly, he didn't drop. I thought the shot was maybe a little far forward. I'm going to assume he's going to go down pretty quickly, but right like last time, we had one more buck before we fast travel. Shot didn't quite go to plan, and that kind of set us off to find this one, but it was a long shot. He's going to be right up here in front of us, and finally, we can fast travel and go and hunt mule deer. It's just been one of those hunts where no matter what the plan is, it ends up kind of getting changed up, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about Classic. You can set a route on the map, you can stick to it as much as you want, but there's always going to be something that kind of disrupts the plan and sends things on a different path. But finally we can pick this guy up and be on our way. It was a left lung shot at 50 meters. What did we shoot? I forget. In a recent video, we single-lunged something with the muzzleloader and brought it down pretty quickly, so that kind of surprises me. But anyway, we are going to go somewhere down kind of to the south part of the map, maybe all the way to here, and we'll kind of wander around and see if there are any mule deer in the area. It's already difficult enough when in a group of 4 mule deer bucks, the heaviest one is a max of 110 kg, but it certainly doesn't help when they just kind of walk right at you and sort of force your decision. So I think we're going to try to shoot this buck. Our shooting has been a little questionable at times during this hunt, but able to drop him. Now, I can't imagine why there would only be 4 bucks here. Like, I would think there should be 5. That's the group size of mule deer bucks generally. But where the 5th buck is, I just have no idea. So I figured we might as well call. I had put scent over there. Hold on. That was a mule deer buck. I'm not too sure what to do about this. I feel as though the call was necessary. Actually, he is right there. Not very big, although maybe a chance for decent weight. Yeah, max of 105, so kind of par for the course there, but dropped him, and man, they stuck around for a second. I really thought we might have gotten away with it. It's been really, really tough to find just any good-sized mule deer. I mean, 100 kg just simply is not going to cut it. I recall in the past having like multiple bucks with a max weight estimate at the very least, even in the same herd, and today, that's just not been the case. Were they not the exact same weight? 100.1 kg, I swear that's what the other one was as well. And after what has been about 3 hours of hunting, we have an average weight of below 100, so nowhere near the top end. And I mean, I guess we could have gone to Timbergold to maybe have better odds with the mule deer specifically. Hold on. Did that say mule deer? Okay. An 85 to 100 kg mule deer is nowhere near as interesting as an 85 to 100 kg whitetail, but yeah, I'm not too sure what to kind of make of this. I wanted to come out here for, you know, all the competitions, but there's been just nothing to speak of, really, antler-wise. Well, an interesting scenario to fast travel into, a couple of whitetail deer right here close. We're going to have to try to drop the doe. Luckily, the buck doesn't know anything just happened, but once again, he is very much kind of average size, but I wanted to definitely use the recurve not only to continue kind of adding to our harvest total, but also because we just got here, and I don't know what else could be around. We've had some success at this spot in the past, and it's kind of the one area of the map that we haven't touched yet, so we're going to get up into this tripod. Hopefully as the bucks come in we get a chance to kind of scan around. I don't see anything immediately. There's apparently a feral hog in the area. Actually, I see it and it is a male, so maybe we can hit a call for that real quick. And actually, it's another pretty high weight whitetail buck. This has been just about the opposite of what we would have wanted to see today. All of our whitetail, though fairly low scoring, have been high on the weight side of things. And our mule deer, I mean, they've been pretty much low scoring, which is what we need for the whitetail comp, so that would be just about right. But hopefully the hog is decent. I don't know if we can see him right now, but that's kind of our last kind of ditch effort, I would say. Man, insult to injury. 520 to 620 is about as small as a male feral hog will get. And again, we needed a low score for the whitetail. All of them have been average. We've not seen one actual small whitetail buck the entire time. And by the way, if this guy has any desire to stop, that would be great. Gonna have to be a little low here. At least this time, we're not shooting like a final animal and then having to track for forever. So, curious what he ends up being. I'm going to say low 600s is usually what you see out of that kind of estimate. 554 even. Man, 20 CSS on a feral hog is rough, but yeah. That's got us in 28th place. I'm going to assume there are 28 entries in that competition. They don't get a whole lot smaller than that, but the one kind of silver lining here, or maybe there's two, is that we have got a lot of heavy recurve harvest today, so that's going to help us along. I'm kind of thinking of actually doing a hunt, maybe in like the Golden Tree Stand over on Whiteheart, or potentially somewhere where we have maybe a better shot at getting whitetail, but kind of wrap up that heavy recurve Dawson harvest kind of quest. But the other good thing, sort of, is that I feel as though single player may be something I don't want to do a whole lot of going forward. Now, it could obviously be a kind of specific case where we just weren't in the right area at the right time, but I just felt like the numbers were way lower than we're used to in multiplayer, and is that a thing? Is it not a thing? I really have no idea. I don't remember it ever being confirmed anywhere, but man, from anecdotal evidence of our last couple of months of hunting, it sure seems like multiplayer just gives better bucks, and probably because of that, it seems like more big ones. But anyway, that is going to be a topic for another day. Unfortunately, no competition trophies today, but at least progress on the heavy recurve harvest, and I mean, 3 hours spent out here on Loggers Point. Definitely not what I thought we were going to get after all that, but anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.